Thank you for joining us for the Knox County Schools Career Expo. This session focuses on information technology and is brought to you by Springboard Audio and Video. Tim Cathcart, information technology teacher at Bearden High School, and one of his students, Keen Wynn, will be speaking with us today. Dr. Cathcart, thank you for joining us.
Welcome, glad to be here. We'll go ahead. We've got a few slides. I'm Dr. Cathcart. This is Keen. We're going to talk to you about it today. And so we got a few slides. We're going to go ahead and push those out, and we'll just kind of go through this. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in, and then they'll get us those questions as we go through this. So first thing is, this is about cybersecurity primarily, right? Because that's not only a lot of fun, but it's also something really important for the future, and it's also great jobs. So they asked me to talk a little about my background. So I'm kind of unique relative to usual teachers, but also it's kind of standard for CTE type teachers to have more of an industry type background. So in my case, I was in the Air Force for almost 32 years. I was enlisted, I was officer. Navigator C-130s, you can see a picture of the C-130s up there. I was in those. You can see refueling a helicopter. Hopefully the video quality is good enough for you to see. In the upper left, by the way, there's a picture of me back when I was in high school. So younger, better looking, but anyway, here I am back in high school. So also did a variety of information technology type jobs in the Air Force, as well as staff officer, Pentagon a couple of times, those kinds of things. You can see some other pictures there. There's one of me in a C-130 doing the Navigator thing. And then I've got the picture of me there and sort of looking all pretty in front of the kind of the Capitol building. So after I retired, what do I do? So my wife and I moved back here to Knoxville. And it was really the idea, how can we continue serving? Because that's what we've been doing in the military. And so it's, to me, it's important to kind of keep doing that. And so this was a chance for me to be semi-retired, have fun, hang out with some neat young people, and contribute back. So, and speaking of those neat young people, Keen, tell us about yourself a little.
So my name is Keen Wynn, and I'm a senior at Bearden High School. What I plan to do after high school is to go to college, maybe get a degree in technology field, because I really enjoy that. It's really fun and exciting to play around with technology and stuff. I would most likely major in probably computer science or something in that field.
Okay. So we'll look at this next slide. One of the questions that they wanted us to talk about specifically is like, why cybersecurity? So in cybersecurity in particular, I think all those things, it's fun, it's hands-on. You make friends. You can see some of the stuff we kind of do there. Those are some of the students from one of my classes. In fact, Keen's the person in the blue shirt there, pointing at the screen, explaining everything, because he is the one of the stars there. But one thing to think about is a lot of stuff when you get into high school tends to be very conceptual, right? Algebra is very conceptual, geometry conceptual, meaning it's not very tangible. You can't think about it a lot as far as like hands-on. Whereas stuff like cybersecurity, we take stuff apart, man. We'll get a drill out and a screwdriver, and we'll take apart a motherboard or network switches and explore how they work, and then also apply that back into what we do from the online side. Because of course we're still going in front of a computer and setting things up and everything as well. So. But it's a great way, I think, to make friends and life skills, and certainly learning, how to engage as a group, as a team, and working on something together is a great way to go. Certainly competitions is a lot of fun. We're getting geared up for another competition right now. We've been through the Cyber Patriot, which is a really big one for the nation. There's usually, about 4,000 or 5,000 teams? Yeah, 4,000 or 5,000 high school teams nationwide. And so that can be a lot of fun. So, and if nothing else, cybersecurity is important to you. This cyber stuff ain't going to go away. And you think about all the hacks and the different things that go on. You need to know how to protect yourself from a personal perspective, and also wherever you work. And we'll talk about that more here in just a little bit. So one of the questions Dr. Wilson wanted me to talk about was, what do we do in some of these classes? So here's a few of the things that we're working on actually right now in one of my cybersecurity classes. We got students that are actively putting malware on a computer, now within a virtual machine, so it's reasonably safe. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trade teams, right? And so then the new team members, they have to try to figure out what those vulnerabilities are and fix them. And so there's also a time factor of that too. So that one's kind of neat because you come up with some neat ways to try to, trip up another team as well as to try to defeat the team that's trying to trip you up. So Keen's one of the students working on that. Tell us a little bit about it, Keen.
So basically, you would create vulnerabilities and install some malwares, which is basically stuff that would damage your computer or slow it down. Those are basically, it makes the computer like worse, and you wouldn't be able to use it well. And we would try to corrupt it by installing all this stuff, and then teams would try to figure out how to make it like revert back to the default, and that's basically what our project's about. And after the projects, we would do lab projects, which are basically long-term projects that we would do in class, and we would do independent research. You can see all these computers behind me, and these are all basically built by students, and they did research on that, and it would relate to one of our cybersecurity topics that we would learn.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, I think. You think?
Yeah.
So at the very least, it's probably one of the most fun classes you can take at high school. Certainly way better in stuff like, I shouldn't say it, like algebra or English, because I don't know, it just has a very interesting component to it. So here's some other examples of things that we play with here in cybersecurity. So, we've got not only software, but hardware keyboard loggers. So, if you read about the FBI, how they install a keyboard logger in order to get a criminal's password to encrypted files, we practice doing that so we understand what's going on with that, how that technology works. Of course, we do it in an ethical environment. We're careful to follow appropriate rules. But, it's learning about how this works also helps you learn how to protect yourself from criminals out there that might want to do harm to you or your company. Wi-Fi jammers, we have this really neat tool that essentially jams Wi-Fi signals, and it doesn't quite do that. So anyone from the FCC, that's not quite what it's doing, but it actually sends the authentication packet. So we explain how that works and why that could be a problem. Password crackers, we have one in our cybersecurity display case. We have a password cracker that sits there trying to crack passwords all day, and it's pretty neat trying to see how it works and get an example for that. We're trying to put together a Bitcoin miner. And I know that some people might say, well, how does a Bitcoin miner relate to cybersecurity? Well, essentially, a Bitcoin miner is sort of like a brute force password cracker, right? Because it's doing a lot of cryptological stuff in there in order to come up with the Bitcoin. So we're in the process of trying to put that together and thinking about how that would work and what kind of software would go into it. And there's also, how do you protect the Bitcoins, right? Because, they can be stolen just like anything else that's digital. So a lot of things like that to it, that some very interesting aspects. Cell phone hacking, I've brought in one of my old cell phones, and we're busy trying to Bluejack it, which is a way in which you use Bluetooth in order to hack into someone's phone. Malware testing, we talked about that. High gain antennas, we're trying to see how far we can reach remote Wi-Fi signals using high gain antennas. So we've got an antenna that's like 4 foot tall, and we're trying to figure out how to hook it up to the outside of the building with appropriate permissions and be able to do stuff like that. So I think there's all kinds of things that are related to cybersecurity that are part of our standards, that are part of the requirements that can be just a lot of fun. So a lot of neat stuff that you can explore in cybersecurity. And so one of the things that's pretty neat is this idea of certification. So when I came out of high school, I really had no real skills. I mean, nothing. But for today's students, you guys really need to come out with some type of basic skills, whether you're planning to go to college or right into a job. And one of the ways that you can do that is through some of these industry certifications. In the CTE world, we offer a lot of these different things, not just in cybersecurity, but in other areas as well. So here's an example of the ones that I kind of deal with in the cybersecurity track, and not completely, but certainly like the Security Plus one is right in our wheelhouse. And we've got students that are working to study that right now so they can try to pass the test and come out of high school that they could be Security Plus certified. So, Keen, for example, is one of those students working on that. And whether you get it all done or not, and whether you end up using it in the future, certainly just having that shows that you've got more than a fellow student, that someone else that doesn't have something like that. And the reason why that's really important is this slide here. First, you can make a lot of money off of it, right? So you can see some of these different parts of this slide here. It talks about the money that you can make working for different companies and different industries, basically, but making money because you got this certification. Certification basically shows that you know something. Someone else, some independent organization, this CompTIA organization, has looked at it and said that you know about cybersecurity if you pass the Security Plus test. So that's what's really neat about these is they give you like a little bit of a passport into a good job, whether you go to college or not, because you'll have proven that you've got some knowledge. And there's ways you can work on learning this material. You got to be motivated, but you can learn this material while you're in high school. So personally, I think it's real exciting, and I hope that we're able to do a lot of that for you guys in the future. And then why take cybersecurity? So this slide here, it's about money in a lot of ways, because there's a lot of demand. And whenever there's demand, there's going to be a lot of money. They're talking that there's 3.5, see that one on the right-hand side there, 3.5 million unfilled tech jobs by 2021. Well, that's this year. So that means if you've got any interest at all in things like cybersecurity, information technology, they need you out there. And you can see from the previous slide, you get some certifications, you make some pretty good money. Okay, so let's say you don't want to do that. Let's say that you want to be a real estate agent or something like that. That's great too. There's a couple little parts there on that slide, like Target and Facebook. Those folks get hacked all the time as well. So even if you're just selling real estate with Century 21, if you know more about cybersecurity than somebody else trying to apply for that company, they're probably going to hire you because they'll know that you're not going to click on links you shouldn't click on, or you understand the basics of what happens when some of these things occur. So you actually bring extra value to the company, whether you're working as a cybersecurity or information technology person or not. So a couple things on outside of high school, there's different things that you can do. I got a little quote there at the top, says, the degree is less important than the money that comes, or excuse me, the knowledge that comes with it. And that's really getting at the idea that what employers really want to do is know that you know what is needed for the job. So especially if you have certifications, direct to workforce works out pretty well. And you can always work your way up in a lot of those areas. If you want to go into advanced education, I got some of the different degrees and stuff that they offer out there. Pellissippi's got a great program on cybersecurity. UTK has also got some really great programs in areas related to that. And certainly those are things to think about, because you don't have to go to college or university out of high school if you want to work in IT. But you can, and there's certainly different paths depending on what it is you want to do. And that's something great to explore with guidance counselors and that kind of thing as you explore what's available and think about what you might want to do. So Keen, you've talked about like computer science along those lines. Kind of what, if you don't mind sharing, what's sort of your future after high school?
So basically, if you take computer science, you need to know a lot about computers, and with computers, cybersecurity offers a lot of knowledge on hardware and stuff. And if you know a lot about hardware, you can apply it to basically anything. Like if you go into the hospital, there's like computers everywhere. And if you fill out a college resume and like stuff about computer stuff, then people more likely hire you because you can just do it. You can do two in one.
Yeah, and that's a lot of value added, right? I mean, the idea that you can, if you're like, okay, in the military, a lot of times, like I was a C-130 navigator, right? Well, that's great. I was a great navigator, of course. I did a wonderful job flying around in airplanes, but I was also on the ground. I was one of their IT guys, right? So by hiring me, they got not just a great navigator, but they also got this guy that could understand computers and networking and do that as well. And so that really helped out a lot for my my success in the military, because I was a little bit of a Swiss Army knife, and I was able to help them in more ways than one. And right here in the local area, we have a lot of great opportunities between Pellissippi and UTK, and certainly other campuses. Chattanooga's got a great campus. It's got some real good cybersecurity programs, and of course, it's out there quite a bit. Certainly, it's a high demand field, so there's a lot of opportunities outside of high school. And that's just higher education. There's always this CompTIA. If you get those 4 certifications, there's a whole series beyond that where you can keep learning more, demonstrating more knowledge, and getting more pay raises and being able to contribute more value. So One of the things we got here at Bearden High School is also the Cyber Club. And I know that, this is a little broader than just Bearden, but I'm kind of explaining what we sort of have here. And you can see a lot of the pictures here. We've had a lot of students participating over the last like 3 years. You can see in the upper left, we've got folks that are there getting an award for having taken second place in the gold category for Cyber Patriot. We've got folks in the far right of your screen there. You can see there's a few virtual students, right? Because we are supporting virtual students as part of the club. So we just connect to them. We've got a pretty nice setup here in the classroom, and we've got all this technology and we know how to use it. So we should use it to help support kids. So some of the virtual learners out there are part of our Cyber Club, and they just dial in and show up on the screen, and we interact back and forth between the classroom and their homes. Works out great. And you can see some of the folks there doing different things. Keen taking apart a laptop and different computers and a lot of different things. So it's really a nice extension. So what I'm trying to encourage you with that is, let's say that you aren't really sure about information technology or this idea of cybersecurity, but you want to check it out maybe. Well, if your school's got a club like this, go check it out. That's an easy way. You drop in, you hang out for a little bit, make some friends, take a screwdriver to a motherboard and kind of find out how it works. And maybe you'll get into it in a great way or not, or you'll find out if it's for you. So certainly whatever high school you end up going to, think about the clubs, because there's a lot of great clubs you'll find at high schools, a lot of great resources for you. So not just information technology, but a lot of great stuff out there. So get involved. Go around, see what you like. It's going to be a big part of shaping what you end up doing in high school and into the future. So one thing I do want to talk about is prerequisites. So for all of the information technology courses, which is web design, coding, and of course the very best, cybersecurity, you have to take this computer science foundations as prerequisite. So the thing I'd mention to that though is, let's say that you're a big computer guy already, or you're part of the Girls Who Code program or something, so you already have a pretty good background. You may be able to waive that prerequisite, but you got to talk to the guidance counselors. But if you aren't sure, what's really nice about computer science foundations is to give you sort of a nice foundation in these different things, these different aspects of information technology. So web design, coding, and cybersecurity. So, and Keen, so you've taken it in some of these classes. Tell us what classes you ended up taking and what you thought about.
Yeah, I've taken basically all of them except for web design, and they all really relate to each other. If you know one thing, it builds up, like you know a lot about things, and it'll be like way easier for you if you just have experience with the other fields also. And also CTA classes, it gives you a hands-on experience, which most academic classes don't have. And this allows you to like know what you like. If you take a lot of CTA classes or any other like related art classes, you'll have like a feel for what you really like to do, and that would be really helpful in the future when you're like trying to figure out what you want to do as your job.
Yeah, and that's really good stuff. And like it says about the coding, so we have a great coding program here at Bearden, as well as web design. But coding and cybersecurity are kind of related, because there's different scripting commands and those kinds of things that you might do in cybersecurity. And those are, since they're related, it helps you understand how to do that a little better. So, and again, none of this is required. I mean, no one has to be a great scripting expert or a coder to get started in cybersecurity or even coding. Just a willingness to learn, and then see if that's what you like, because there's different aspects to everything. So why CTE? So now we're just going to talk about CTE in general, and Keen's already talked about this some, but I got to tell you, there's a great CTE program here at Knox County. I mean, it is amazing. So these are just a few of the things that show up on this slide here that they have as part of the CTE programs. Virtual enterprises. So if you're interested in business and that kind of thing, you see one that says business plan. They have a bunch of business classes. You can see cosmetology. We've got engineering and technology, coding, of course, and cybersecurity. Of course, we have cybersecurity, but auto programs. I mean, Mr. Dyer here at Bearden High School is a fabulous instructor for the automotive program, and I mean, he does some amazing stuff down there. And this is just a little sampling of it. So there's a lot of great programs. Sometimes we get this idea that everybody's got to go to college right out of high school, and that's the important thing. And That's not always true. I mean, it's what's good for you. What do you like doing? What interests you? And some people are very tangible, hands-on types, and that's great. And some people are more academic-ish, and that's great too. You know, we need all kinds of people. So, you know, when I joined the military originally, it was money for college because I wanted, you know, go to college. But I spent about 4 or 5 years enlisted before I got commissioned, and that means after I got my degree. And that was great. I had a great time learning to work on C-130s and things like that. And so, you know, your needs and your interests will change throughout your time as a, you know, as a responsible member of society. So certainly having a lot of these options and knowing about these things, take advantage of it. You've got a lot of great opportunities going into high school to take a range of neat courses from some great instructors, some great caring teachers. And so take advantage of that and explore. So, and just don't forget, it's an amazing set of opportunities here with the CTE program. So definitely want to put a big plug in for that. It's a great program that we got running out of here at Knox County. So amazing. So we got a little bit of time left for questions there, I believe. And I'm just going to leave this slide up for a minute so you can get a sense of that. You know, I think this is like, you know, it's a money slide, right? Look at all these jobs that they have here and the growth factors. And you can see, I took this, the information security analyst, I took that from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this isn't something I made up and it's not something from 20 years ago, but the median salary for an information security analyst is just about $100,000 a year. So, man, that's some serious money there. So now you won't start at that, right? I mean, that's median, but you can certainly achieve that and more throughout a solid career working hard as a great information security analyst and many other career fields. So you can see a lot of them listed there. So just think about that. You know, high school is also a time to think about that transition to being, you know, a full up, mature, responsible member of society, and having a great job that pays well is probably part of the key to that. My final plug is, one thing about cybersecurity is you can't outsource it to the Chinese, all right? So we can outsource a lot of things to other countries, but many of those other countries are the ones that we need cybersecurity, American cybersecurity professionals to prevent them from hacking us. So certainly that's one of the great things about it is it's a great job, plenty of demand, pays well, and it's not something we can send out to, you know, to China or Russia or something. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the screen here, and we're going to go back to Caden and see if we got some questions that anybody would like to ask.
Yes, Dr. Cathcart. I actually have one question here. A student was wondering if you could go into more detail about Cyber Patriot.
Yes, the Cyber Patriot is impressive. It was started by the Air Force Association 13 years ago, and it's what they do is they give you essentially like what we're doing in our classroom. They give you a corrupted virtual machine and have you find the errors and the problems with it. And it gives, and it's on a timer. It's like a 6-hour window, man. We lock the students basically into a room, not locked in a room, but, you know, put them in a room, and for 6 hours they go to town. So Keen's been part of that. So Keen, tell us more about it.
Yeah, so basically Cyber Patriot is a program where you would do research while you're competing, and you would find, so they give you like a VM where they have a lot of vulnerabilities that you try to solve, and you would be awarded points based on what you try to, like, what do you figure out, and you would do independent research and all that stuff and work together. So you wanted to find like your strengths and weaknesses and work with your partners and basically do as much as you can to make the most amount of points, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's challenging. I mean, you know, the different teammates get different types of virtual machines. For example, there'll be a Windows machine, a Linux machine, and clearly requires different strengths. There's even Packet Tracer, which is a professional grade software for designing networks. And you got to go to town on it and try to figure out where all the bugs are as fast as possible. Tends to make for a long day, but it's also a great team bonding experience. It's a great time to make friends and learn to work hard with people and develop those skills. And it's a lot of fun. So it's certainly something that is, it takes some effort, but it's also a great program. And like we said, it's like 4,000 or 5,000 high school teams around the country competing. So, and it's not all at the same time, over the same period of time, but you get your own, your clock starts when you can get to it, and then it's a matter of the scoring from there. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And there's other things too online, like PICO CTF, PICO Capture the Flag. There's a National Government Association Cyber Challenge. There's this other one called Cyber Start America. We've been trying to explore a lot of these to have a lot of opportunities with different types of competitions so that we have a lot of things to offer to the students. Back to you, Caden.
Thank you, Dr. Cathcart. Thank you, Keen. So we're gonna have to go ahead and wrap up this session. Thank you guys for the input. Some good question. Thank you guys for watching this session of the Knox County Schools Career Expo, and make sure and tune in for the next one.